Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the business correspondent for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Rick Velotta, here for the whole show on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome back to the Reno Rodeo. I'm Craig Downing, this year's Reno Rodeo president. The rodeo is back and in full swing. Join us for some great family entertainment. Pull on your boots, grab your hats for the wildest, richest rodeo in the West, June 17th through the 26th. We're back in the saddle again.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States.
I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome back to the program Rick Velotta. He is the business correspondent for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Thanks for having me on, Sam.
So this week is a perfect time for me to be taping in Las Vegas because the first big convention has arrived in town, which is the World of Concrete. For those that don't understand, it sounds like an amusing name. How big is this convention?
It's really big because the concrete industry is construction, right? So the fact that you have these thousands of masonry professionals gathering together for educational purposes as well as competitions. There's a really fun competition that they do on a regular basis. The fact that they are having this big show, which normally brings in 60,000 people to Las Vegas, that's huge. Especially the fact that we haven't had a big convention like this since March of 2020.
All right, so how many people out of the normal 60,000, how many have we gotten this time?
We don't know exactly what the head count is. They were still hoping they were going to get more people, but they were saying that it's in all likelihood it will be considerably less. And the reason why is because guess what? This is construction season.
Right.
When they normally come to Las Vegas, it's January. And half the country shut down by bad weather. But for this particular case, they said, gee, some of our loyal members are not going to be able to be here because they're on jobs right now. And so the way they looked at it was that if they have half that number, 30,000 people that would come, that would be a huge success. And all the leaders at the Convention and Visitors Authority believe the same way.
It's interesting. I have friends in the construction business in southern Utah, in St. George, and they're telling me that right now they're restricted to 1 load of concrete a day, that there's actually a concrete shortage in St. George. And of course, we're seeing all kinds of price increases and scarcities for all kinds of building products. So an interesting time. So this is the first time the expansion has been used at the convention center. Share with us what that's been like, and especially for my wife's sake, Elon Musk's transportation system.
Oh boy, It's a $1 billion investment that was made to build this new expansion. They're calling it the West Hall. It's basically, as you might guess, it's west of everything else on the convention center campus. It's an absolutely magnificent building, huge atrium at the very front, a massive video wall that people will be able to see all kinds of things, whether they're commercials about Las Vegas or promotions for whatever show happens to be in town or any of that. It's massive, and it's just beautiful. On top of that, there's a huge 400,000 square foot hall that will be there for exhibits, an exhibition hall. And then there's, I don't know the exact count, but there are probably more than 50 rooms that they can subdivide. So you might get hundreds of rooms in other parts of the building. Plus they have a cafeteria there that where they can provide food for people who come in for price, and just enough space to do just about anything you'd want to do. The technology is just off the charts. People love it, those who have seen it. And they did have kind of an opening for people to at least get a look at it. So I got to go in there and see some of the nice things that they had in store. But today is really the first time that it's been used for what it was built for, and that is for a large convention.
And what about the Boring Company and their transportation system?
Can't forget that. It's 8/10 of a mile twin underground tunnels that have 3 stations. One is on the far east end of the campus, one is on the far west end next to the West Hall, and then one is at what they call the center location, which is right next to the center hall of the convention center. So there are 62 Teslas that run in these twin tunnels. They had a test to see if they could reach the capacity that was guaranteed by Elon Musk's Boring Company, to see that it was going to prove out the way they said it was going to. That test was reported on today by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, and it did surpass the required number of 4,400 passengers per hour.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what that means in terms of when you have a huge show like CES, for example. Will they be able to maintain that? That's the big question that a lot of the critics are asking right now. And the other big question is that Elon Musk had promised a higher capacity vehicle that could be used that might maybe transport 16 people at a time. Well, because we were in a pandemic, it didn't seem relevant to have something like that put together, so it never happened. The other question is whether we're going to get into autonomous operation of the vehicles. Right now, there are drivers in every vehicle, so you can put 3, maybe 4 people in a vehicle at a time. So it's efficient enough as it is right now if you have a moderately sized convention. But I'm thinking when we get some of these mega shows in here, it'll be really put to the test.
Interesting. I went to the Boring Company's website. We may have talked about this on your last appearance on the show. And their expansion plans for the Las Vegas Valley are huge. But if you look at their website, they actually have a line expanding all the way to Los Angeles. Has anybody talked about that?
That of course is like way down the road, and I think that the Boring Company would prefer to get what they're calling the Las Vegas Loop completed first. Roughly 15 miles of tunnels through and around the resort corridor, out to McCarran International Airport, out to Allegiant Stadium. This would be a game changer in terms of people being able to get around. And the reason why is that it works almost exactly like ride hailing, ride sharing. You tell the driver where you want to go. There's no stops in between. You just go directly to that location because the tunnels are situated in a way that you can have direct trips to the whatever destination you choose. So that is going to be something that would be different. They say that the cost of doing that is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of how much it would cost to ride a taxi or a bus or an Uber or a Lyft. So it seems like it's going to be an affordable thing. the thing that's I think is really important is that Boring Company is actually building this off their dime. There's no taxpayer dollars involved with this. And then where they're going to get their revenue is by operating it.
Well, and I think also using Las Vegas as the test model to show cities all around the world that they can do this, and it's safe, cost efficient, and would be beneficial. Because I mean, that's when you look at how they built the subway in London, the most recent line that they built, it was fractions of an inch away from one tunnel to the other to be able to expand that system. With the Boring Company, they're able to dig deep enough that they're not in the way of all these utilities.
They can do multiple tunnels in different directions. They can have multiple tunnels going in, parallel to themselves, depending on what the goal is. But one of the things I think that kind of impressed me the most about the way this was put together is it seems like the plan for the Las Vegas loop is a little bit more solid than the convention, because you've got a small compact area at the convention center and only 3 stops, whereas out in the city, any resort that wants to have a station for the loop system, and there's already 2 of them that have committed and are actually starting to do some of the engineering work, and that's Resorts World, which opens very soon, and Wynn Resorts. So they will have direct tunnels from their properties to the convention center, and that's pretty. That's a great feature to be able to sell people who want to stay at your property for a convention.
Oh, to say the least. I mean, when you think of the traffic jams that have accompanied conventions in the past, the idea of being able to get onto this transportation system
it's
would
brutal.
be yeah. This brings up an interesting sidebar, which is the monorail has gone broke so many times that it was unbelievable, and people who want to criticize these kind of projects say, well, they're always overpromised in the number of riders and how much money it's going to raise, and it's usually half that, and if you're lucky, it doesn't go broke. This one did go broke, but they had an agreement that the convention authority could not have something like the monorail in competition, with the Boring Company, with the monorail as competition. So the convention authority bought the monorail, but they're not abandoning it. They're operating it and going to operate it probably for at least 10 years. So what does this say to you about the viability of the monorail system if run by the appropriate body?
I think that that's what the LVCVA is kind of counting on, is that they will be able to operate it more efficiently. And a lot of that has to do with salaries. Some of the salaries at the Las Vegas Monorail Company were, in many people's opinion, exorbitant. So the fact that they are a little bit more reasonable in terms of what the pay is for the staffing that is on board. And incidentally, most of the monorail crew that was operating it before, familiar with the line, familiar with how it works, they were hired by a separate company that has a contract written with the LVCVA. So they kind of safeguarded some of the costs in that respect. One of the other things that I think is, maybe it's unfortunate, I don't know, the monorail system is something that's important to the convention center because it runs along 7 stops. Anybody who's staying at any of those hotels along that monorail line will be able to go directly to the convention center because there is a stop at the convention center. So it was important enough to them to keep the monorail functioning as a transportation option that they felt that it was worthwhile to pursue keeping it. However, once things start to break and replace things, they're probably not going to be doing a lot of that, and we'll see the monorail retired.
And what's interesting is, of course, they put money away from the very beginning that if the system failed for whatever reason, they would have the money to take this thing apart.
That's right. And there's still a large segment of the community that believes, hey, wait a minute, let's make this useful. Let's expand the monorail because we need another stop at the Venetian, where the Sands Expo Center is, another convention center, incidentally. We need to expand it. out to Mandalay Bay, another convention center, incidentally. And we also need to expand it to downtown and to McCarran International Airport. That's what a lot of the critics are saying. Come on, don't abandon it yet because it's not finished yet. So I don't think that the LVCVA has the appetite to invest what they would need to do to make those expansions and extensions of the line. But it certainly is something that's been kicked around by a lot of people in the community.
You know what's funny about that is the Venetian, Las Vegas Sands, was so against the monorail that they didn't want to stop at their property in the beginning. So, I mean, they were the ones that laid down that marker, so it's kind of interesting.
There's just simple changes in philosophy.
Yes, well, and time goes by, and you see
change.
the efficiency.
And now they have the sphere going in.
Right, and that seems to be coming closer to completion now in terms of the project moving forward, correct?
It's still a 2023 opening, so it's still a little ways off. But at the same time, when you go out there and you look at it, you say, "Wow, this is really something phenomenal." It's it's a state-of-the-art entertainment venue, and some of the demonstrations that I've seen just blew my socks off. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing when I saw some of the demonstrations involved.
Wow, and that'll see what, 17,500, something like that?
Something like that, yeah. 17,500 is what they're looking at. If they have some shows that they can put space elsewhere, they can probably expand that to a certain extent. But the technology within that building is going to surpass anything that we've ever seen in an entertainment venue.
Wow, and that's saying something. Let's take a break. We'll come back much more with Rick Velotta after this timeout.
Enjoy exceptional value and a comfortable atmosphere at the all-new Nevada Steak at Tamarack Casino. Great food, fine wines, and delectable desserts.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Serving Our Kids Foundation's mission is to serve homeless, at-risk, and food insecure children in grades K through 8 throughout Southern Nevada. During the pandemic, Serving Our Kids has seen a 42% increase in the number of children served, providing more than 4,500 meals to kids in over 100 schools weekly. Serving Our Kids is powered by community support and volunteers. To learn how you can help, visit servingourkids.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Enjoy exceptional value and a comfortable atmosphere at the all-new Nevada Steak at Tamarack Casino. Great food, fine wines, and delectable desserts.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He's the top business correspondent for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. All right, so if you can, answer me a question that I've been puzzling about ever since the announcement was made, which is, why is Las Vegas Sands letting go of the Venetian and Palazzo, the Convention Center, the Sphere, all gone? I mean, and what seems to me to be an incredibly low price, because you could not recreate the Venetian and Palazzo for $6 billion.
Well, I think I should start off by saying that the Las Vegas Review-Journal, which employs me, is also owned by Las Vegas Sands Corp. So,
but can I also throw
Sure.
in, just in the defense of that, which is that there has been an incredible separation between Las Vegas Sands, the corporation, and the family of Sheldon Adelson running the RJ.
There has.
You have had to fight to get your stories just as much as any other reporter. So it's not like they're just handing you stuff.
That's exactly
across the
right.
back
And
fence.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Sam, because that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. So back to the question that you asked, one of the things that the Las Vegas Sands executives have known for years is that the big money is not necessarily in Las Vegas. And that may confound some people when they think about something like that. But when you compare it to places like Macau and Singapore, there are large sums of money to be made there if they invest wisely in Macau, which they have. They've got 6 resorts there already. They have done some work to theme most of those resorts. There's one for Paris, there's one for Venice, there's one for London now. So they've done a lot to gather people that would come from this vast market of China and Southeast Asia. So they see that this is a better investment than Las Vegas. As good as Las Vegas is, they also want to look at the opportunities that exist elsewhere. And probably the most prominent one on that is the state of Texas. They had an army of lobbyists that worked in Texas to try to convince legislators in that state to approve some of the legislation necessary to allow for gambling and to build integrated resorts in the 4 largest cities in the state. So if they were able to clear that hurdle, that would be
which just
huge.
failed in this
It did.
current session.
It did. And you know, basically what Sands people do is they dust themselves off, say, "Oh, we'll try next time."
Right.
And there will be a next time. And then there are other opportunities in different parts of the country. Chicago, second largest city in the country, basically, they're going to have a casino resort. New York is on the verge, although that is kind of floundering right now. So there are other opportunities that are out there that Sands has got its eyes on.
It's really fascinating because you think about it and go, we have this mega city, you know, that Las Vegas Sands, Sheldon Adelson created this entire industry of the integrated resort. And when everybody laughed at him, literally, back in the day, Phil Satry has been on this program saying, I didn't believe he could pull this off. And he did, and he showed the world, went to Macau and showed the world. But to be abandoning Las Vegas, corporate headquarters still here, newspaper still here, but the gaming part, it still has my head kind of spinning a bit.
And I think a lot of people are thinking it's a mistake, but there are also some analysts who say, yeah, this was a good deal to get $6.4 billion out of this, and it certainly is something that they can invest in whatever they feel like is a better investment.
I'll tell you, these people are a lot smarter than me. Let's take another break. We'll be right back.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down? When Nevada Heating can get the job done today, and you can get cool again. For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and Twitter. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with top business reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Rick Velotta. So Resorts World, as we're taping this, is going to be opening up in a couple of weeks here.
Yes.
It seems like while they're bringing in a lot of new features, they're also an old-style place with bringing in, stars like Celine Dion. Give me your take on that. We've got about a minute.
I think that Resorts World is going to be successful simply because the management of that, based in Malaysia, basically the same kind of folks as Sheldon Adelson has been. They analyze a lot. They do a lot with integrated resorts. They're located all over the world right now, and they've always wanted to be in Las Vegas. So they decided to put together a very technology-rich operation here. They connected with Hilton. Hilton's going to be bringing in a lot of people because of the Hilton loyalty cards that are out there.
And they've got 3 brands already:
Three brands,
Crockford's,
exactly.
Hilton, and Conrad.
And with entrances for each of those brands, which is incredible. But I think that the bottom line is going to be that people are going to be excited to see something new because they haven't seen anything in like a dozen years.
Well, with the exception of Circa, but that's for another day.
That's for another day.
My friend, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're crazy busy right now, so really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me on, Sam.
Always a pleasure. And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.